And last question, जो media की जो बात कर रहे हैं, you named Al-Jazeera, but I will only make one broader point and applicable to other outlets, outfits as well. Because we are becoming bigger, because we are doing better, because our progress in many ways will shape the rest of the world. The rest of the world is also trying to influence it in different ways. They don't have to be governments who are influencing it. Often these are done by media. If you look today, at the kind of comments which are coming out of media, the kind of attempts to shape opinion, to take it in different directions, I think all of these are very much part of an influence game that is going on. I think we should be aware of it. At that stage, if you continue to be very nice, they don't take it as nice, they think it is weak. So where I would put it, your own question like this, you have to be nice until you feel they think nice is weak, isko aap band karo. Now you have to be very clear. The first question, cultural power ke bare mein. I think it's very important for us to be conscious of our culture, to be proud of our culture, and to propagate our culture. I'll tell you why. There are, if you look at the history of the world, of the old civilizations, very few of them are still today big nations. So most of the old civilizations, somewhere wo kahin na kahin kuch na kuch ho gaya unko. So I would say we and China in many ways are the two big powers who are also old civilizations. That's a very special responsibility that we have. The second, as you become bigger in the world, people want to know us. Like I said, they want to understand us. कि भाई इनका दिमाग कैसे चलता है, इनका DNA क्या है, इनकी सोच क्या है, इनका reaction क्या है. People, that's a very natural thing. Now, if we do not ourselves, if we are not proud of ourselves, if we do not put our own tradition and culture and music and yoga and whatever, then how will the world know? If we are ourselves defensive about it, then the world, see, the world is very, very because that 200 साल वो colonial era था. So world is actually very, very Western in its thinking and in its culture. अब बदल रहा है. Now to do that, it is very important that we put our share, our viewpoint, forward very strongly. So we feel today that it can be, there was a reason why we started this International Day of Yoga. It's very good for the health of the world and mental peace of the world. But it is also something which is made India, got India into the consciousness of the world, and I think it's something which we need to keep doing. The second question, see, एक ज़माने में people would say snake charmers हैं, तो अब how have you taken the job? I would say by a variety of steps. It didn't happen at one time. I think this image कि अच्छा ये IT का देश है, Indians are techies, this was helpful to us. COVID के समय में because we supplied so many vaccines, अब लोगों को उनके दिमाग में ये idea बैठ गया है कि this is pharmacy of the world, कि दवाई चाहिए तो भाई ये Indians are good people to get it from. So bit by bit, today, how to design in this country, how to innovate in this. That's why, why Chandrayaan is important. Because now you are no longer back office of the world. You are actually front launch of the world. That there has to be constant demonstration of capability, so that world will understand that, okay, these people are capable of that. And the third question, the neighborhood. See, everybody, neighbors are inherited. You can't do anything about it. And we also have to accept that dunya mein competition hoti, that nobody is going to be nice to you automatically. They may not go they may not be your enemies, but there is no compulsion on people to be very helpful all the time. और सब लोग अपना अपना देखेंगे. That is also natural. So we have to create a situation in the neighborhood where people, other neighboring countries to us say, if we are friends of India, there is a gain for us. If we are linked to India, there is a gain for us. And that is exactly what we are trying to do. Last year, there was a big problem in Sri Lanka. Okay, I mean, I went to Sri Lanka in the middle of it. I cannot tell you how bad it was. I mean, literally people, they were running short of food. Petrol nahi tha, bijli nahi tha, and it was terrible to watch what was happening to them. Now, rest of the world debated, kare, nahi kare, acha, chalo, let us get a full accounting of the debt. We made up our minds, okay, it's a neighbor, they're in big difficulty, let us help them and let us help them decisively. So, everybody else was still talking. We moved. And I can tell you in Sri Lanka, if you go to the average person, they will say, I know at that time who stood by us. Even people who have no history of positive association with India recognize that today. Same thing if you go today to Bangladesh, you go to Nepal. People remember COVID के समय में उनकी वैक्सीन कहाँ से आई. ये सबको पता है. यूक्रेन युद्ध के समय में फर्टिलाइजर की शॉर्टेज थी, तेल की शॉर्टेज थी, कहाँ से आई. So, but it doesn't come automatically also, no. तेल भेजना है तो पाइपलाइन क्रिएट करना पड़ता है, बिजली भेजना है तो ग्रिड बनाना पड़ता है, सामान भेजना है तो रोड होने चाहिए. So we have to create I would say a system by which the neighborhood is very close to us, and it is natural, China is just across the neighborhood, वो भी अपना कोशिश तो करेंगे. So to me, I have every confidence. Your generation will not be scared of competing. We are capable of competing. I feel this country today has reached that level. I mean, whether it is in sports, whether it is in life, whether it is in politics or in economics, I think we have it in us. And the more we compete, actually, the better, stronger we will get.
Now we'll be having last 3 questions. Please ask in a row.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, this side. I am Sahil Singh, currently a second-year economics honors student at Hansraj College. Sir, my question is that while taking decisions on international matters, how do you try to strike a balance between ethics and humanity on one side and nationalist interests on the other side? Thank you, sir.
Namaste, sir. Myself, Lakshya Mawat. And my question to you is that if you would be starting from zero, what would be the best advice that Dr. JaiShankar would give to his younger self?
Give me that question again. If you are starting from zero?
If you would be starting from zero, what would be the best advice that Dr. JaiShankar would give to his younger self?
Other than joining Hansraj College? Okay. All right.
नमस्ते सर. मेरा प्रश्न यह है कि आपके सबसे पसंदीदा प्रधानमंत्री और सबसे पसंदीदा विदेश मंत्री कौन है जिनसे आप प्रेरणा लेते हैं और जिनको आप देख के आगे बढ़ते हैं? धन्यवाद.
I think one mic has to go somewhere here.
Namaskar, sir.
Okay.
Sir, my name is Saloni Bharti. It is a great honor to be standing in front of you. Sir, my question is, what does Bharat have in uniqueness that is going to be the reason for its flourishment in the next 25 years? Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the questions. So,
No, I'll stop. I'll take you in the next round. Please be patient. So, जो पहले सवाल जो था कि how do you get a balance between ethics and ethics, humanity, national interest? देखिए, it is sometimes, it can be an issue at times, but sometimes it is not also. It depends how you judge the ethics. I'll give you a very interesting situation. जब ये यूक्रेन का युद्ध जो शुरू हुआ ना, at that time a lot of European Western countries told us, you should not buy oil from Russia because आप रशिया से लेंगे, then आप रशिया को पैसे देंगे, you are funding a war effort, and देखिए ये बहुत unethical है. अब अलग बात है वो खुद अपना they were continuing to buy, they had reduced the buying, but they were also still buying. So naturally I told them that, look, you are also buying, why are you coming and telling me? But I will give you a very interesting ethical dimension of it. These are countries who are at $50,000 per capita income. Okay, $50,000. They were not prepared to cut their own linkage because they felt for their citizens it would be a big problem. And they are asking a country of $2,500 to take the sacrifice instead. So I told them, I said, look, forget other things. Is it moral of you to even ask me? I mean, is a poor Indian consumer, somebody, for whose livelihood the petrol cost may actually destroy that person, should that person actually be paying a higher cost than somebody who's 20, 25 times their income in Europe? So sometimes even ethics, people put ethics in a very different way than it would be. But there will be issues. At the end of the day, look, countries have their interest. Sometimes the interests make for very difficult decisions. You have to balance it. I would never say that we should disregard ethics. I feel to be good and to be smart are not different things. You can be both. In fact, I would argue to be good is actually to be smart, because people will remember what you did. They will repay what you did. That आपकी brand improve हो जाएगी. That is smart. So they are not choices to be good and to be smart. And I feel if you look even during COVID, many people told us, why are you sending out vaccines? अब सबका vaccination यहाँ खत्म नहीं हुआ. But look at the goodwill it has earned us. And I'll tell you a very interesting time. If you remember Delta wave आया था ना, डेल्टा वेव के समय में हमारे यहाँ बहुत बड़ी ऑक्सीजन की शॉर्टेज थी. At that time, एक महीना we were all our ministers, we were put to work, somehow find oxygen and bring it to the country. I tell you, the best response I got for oxygen supply were from the Gulf countries, because during COVID we had kept the food supply going to them. We got it from Western countries, countries like America, because we gave them medicine when they had the first wave of COVID. So you could see that our goodness brought some reward back to us. So I would say there are two sides in a way of the same coin. The advice which I have to give, look, I give you a very simple thing I have learnt in life, because all of us will aspire to many things. Sometimes you will get something, sometimes you will not get something, some will be lucky, some will be function of how much work you put. The only consistent thing I have learnt is, if you actually pursue what you like, what you really, your heart is in it, it's really a strong interest for you. It is not there because your father, mother, teacher, somebody told you, ye aapko karna hi hai. That I accept that, we listen to that. But if your heart is in something, you will do well in it. This I can tell you. And so I would tell people, because today you all have many more choices. I'm very proud of the fact that I was in the government, I was in the foreign service. If people ask me, would you do it again? Yes, of course I would. But I would also say that many of you also have many other options and choices when I look at the possibilities. So follow your interest, follow your passion. I would say that would be my advice. That other question, Prime Minister, so I think you want me to think a little bit. I can still give you the same answer. So I think the answer is obvious, and you know that when you ask me. But I would only say this. As someone who was in government, who has no political history, who has, अगल बगल में family में कोई नहीं है in politics. I tell people, only the current Prime Minister would have made me Foreign Minister, but I would have never entered politics were it not for this Prime Minister. If that same offer, because my sense today of what he's trying to do for that country, to such a person you cannot say a no when he asks you. And when it comes to foreign ministers, again, it's very interesting. I joined the foreign service when Atalji was actually the foreign minister. So I have seen since that period. But all of them, and many of them are people I have known very personally, very deeply. Some, one was even my boss in foreign service. But I would say to me, the one I remember most frequently, not only affectionately, but I would say in terms of that bond of working, was actually my predecessor, Sushma ji. That what I learned from her, what I learned working with her about how, you politically actually manage things. Because I was a secretary. And in government, the minister secretary ki jodi jo banti hai na, that is actually determines how good any ministry is. That because it's like a, I don't know, like a COO and a CEO, jo bhi aap kahe. And I found that 3 years that I worked with her, and then of course I stayed with her in close touch even afterwards. So for me, actually, when I think of a foreign minister, she is immediately the person who comes to my mind. On the uniqueness issue, see, it's very interesting. If we go around the world, most countries actually have one language. Even if there are other languages, उन्होंने एक को dominant किया हुआ है. Have actually most of them have one religion. Most of them often have a single ethnicity. माने standardize कर देते हैं. We are very actually unique. हमारे यहाँ जो diversity जो है, and the space that we give to each other, and the way we are able to, accommodate each other and fit into each other, and then what comes up. So I actually believe somewhere that culturally, civilizationally, we have some inner confidence and belief in Bharat, which allows us to give space to different expressions of Bharat. And this is very difficult for the world to understand. That, one of the interesting things I used to do when I was a diplomat, हम लोग जो हैं हमारा note ले जाते थे, currency note. And then currency note निकाल के we would show people how many languages the currency note has. Other countries, people are very, very impressed. They're very baffled by this. Because very few countries, I in fact would really struggle to think which other country would have more than, there are one or two, which would have more than one language on its currency note. So I think this unity which allows this diversity to be expressed itself, that I think is something very, very unique about us. As I say, for me, we are a 5,000-year civilization, and we should always have that sense, that the pride and confidence and the wisdom which comes from that. I think last round.
Yeah, last 3 questions, please.
My name is Harshit Poddar. I'm a final year student of economics. So I've been reading your book, The India Way, and I like to just ask one thing. This is one of your lines. This is a time for us to engage America, manage China, cultivate Europe, reassure Russia, bring Japan into play, draw neighbors in, and extend the neighborhood, and expand traditional constituencies of support. So I would like to ask you, what's the context behind writing this line and the reason? Because I feel this explains the full of the foreign relations of India with other countries.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, you are the best diplomat India could ever have. How did you
acknowledge that diplomacy? How do you deal? How did you know that diplomacy? How to deal with people? Putin just break his protocol to meet you, sir. How did you make that happen?
Last question, please.
Sir, that we talk about the dominance of India, the power of India in today's times. So I want to ask you a question. Like, for example, we have SARC, the initiative. So, more or less, many countries around our region, they are stating that India as a power is a dominating factor in the current scenario, if you talk about in the Indian subcontinent. So, sir, what's your take on it? I mean, how you present India as not being dominated and being helpful and friendly in this environment? Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Wait. Yeah. Let me take this young lady. Yeah. Don't pick up. Okay. Last question. Okay. Let me do one thing. Because we have not taken any questions from the top. So let me take. No. After this, we will give one round to the top. Okay. तो mic ऊपर भिजवा दीजिएगा. Okay. Sorry, one of you had a last question. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. The first question which I got, which was a quote from my own book. I was trying to summarize how we have to, whether it is Russia or America or Europe or China or Japan neighbors. So in a way, I tell people, ये सबका साथ सबका विकास जो है ना घर में, you do it outside India also. That if you more people, more countries you carry with you. I mean, ultimately, what is good diplomacy? Good diplomacy is maximum goodwill, minimum problems. That is what we are trying to do. So, my purpose of that quote which you read out was like a वो किताब की निचोड़ थी एक किस्म से. That this is actually what we want to do, and that's and a lot of it I think has actually happened. Okay, one or two may have been a little bit more difficult. On the second one, that diplomacy, how does it look? It grows. It is not something which immediately and instantly practice hota hai. I mean, you join the government, आपकी ट्रेनिंग होती है, लोग आपको समझाते हैं, अनुभव होता है, अलग अलग जगह जाते हैं, गलतियां हो जाती हैं कभी कभी, you try and learn from it, you have good seniors वो आपको mentor करते हैं. So there are different ways by which this evolves. But I come back to it again. अगर interest हो ना, see in my case I started after science, bachelor's in science, I moved to master's in political science and then other degrees in international relations. So मुझे subject में interest था. मुझे लगा, I mean one of the reasons I sat for UPSC was I felt भाई पढ़ने के बजाय कम से कम let me get some action also, कुछ कर तो ले, why should I read about other people doing anything? So once you have that interest, you have that desire to keep improving yourself, this kind of ability in you or that tendency will actually grow with time. on this, these two questions actually are somewhat similar. Kahan dominant hona chahiye, kahan helpful hona chahiye, or you ask saying, when are you nice to people and when are you not so nice to people. It depends on the situation. I would say as a person and as a country, most of the time we should actually be reasonable with people. We should explain to them, these are our interests, bhai aap log samjhiye isko, hamare hit hain, we can find a way. So you try to reason with people. But there will be situations when other person behaves very unreasonably, कि वो आपकी बात नहीं माने, या कुछ agreement था, कुछ सहमति थी, उसका उन्होंने उल्लंघन किया, या कभी कभी जो मेरे साथ हो जाता है, लोग वो because उनके यहाँ समय पुरानी आदतें हैं ना, so they kind of think, अच्छा चलो उसको स्टूडियो बुला के let us put him under pressure. Now, when you feel that the intent of the other person, कि वो आपकी बात सुन नहीं रहे, उसका logic उनको कहीं बैठ नहीं रहा, then I think it's important to push back, because at that stage, if you continue to be very nice, they don't take it as nice, they think it is weak. So, where I would put it, your own question like this, you have to be nice until you feel they think nice is weak. इसको आप बंद करो. Now you have to be very clear. Don't test us beyond this. And the second, even sometimes people give some comment, some assessment. Again, they are used to it. For many years things have been said about India, and nobody has replied from India. So they feel that ये free में होता है, इसकी कोई कीमत नहीं है, you can do it and get away with it. So when there is a pushback, then they also become a little bit more balanced about what they say. So that last question about redesigning the world. See, in fact, I would give you a thought for your consideration. Just think, if partition of India had not happened, who our neighbors would have been. But that's a different issue. I mean, look, there are countries with whom, it's much easier for us, for a variety of reasons, to get along. I would not, pick and choose, jo hai, wo hai. You have to, as I say, neighbors are given by God. You have to deal with them the best that you can. So I will actually evade answering your question. So, but let's go up.
Sir, actually we have questions from the stairs only. I'm having the questions.
माइक है तो पूछने दीजिए. है माइक? डर मत, आपकी आवाज बुलंद है, कहिए.
All right, sir.
नहीं, कॉर्डलेस नहीं है ऊपर. Okay. Hang on. I think a cordless is. आ गया माइक.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Gaurika, and it's my dream and goal to become an IFS officer. What I wanted to ask you is that what is, apart from amongst your multiple achievements, what is that one diplomatic achievement which is very close to your heart?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Vanshika and I'm aspiring to become a civil servant. Sir, my question for you is, in present times we see there has been a large number of multilateral groupings that India has been a part of. So sometimes I wonder, there is a need to streamline our diplomatic energy so as to gain out the most of a few multilateral groupings, even if that case is.
Hello, sir. Sir, as our government's major agenda has always been regarding Bangladeshi or Rohingya infiltrators, but today they have been too much penetrated into our society that even majority of unskilled labor you'll find them. Isn't it a big border security failure, and what is today currently India's stance over it? Thank you.
Take one last, huh? All right, two last.
Very good afternoon, sir. My name is Shri Babu and I'm a bachelor student of Zoology Honours, and I feel extremely honored to share the same roof with you. And I wanted to ask a few questions regarding...
One question.
Okay, sir. I'm going to ask one question only. What is India's official stance on the string of pearls theory, which suggests China's strategic encirclement of India through ports and military installations in the Indian Ocean region?
Okay, thank you. Okay, now really last. Right. Okay.
Good morning, sir. I'm Sandeep from Tamil Nadu, and my question for you is, with recent reference to Israel's ban on Al-Jazeera, what is your viewpoint on media's influence on foreign policy?
Okay. First question, of all the diplomatic issues with which I have been associated, what would I regard personally as with most satisfaction? It's a tough one, but I would say on balance, probably the creation and the growth of the Quad. Because I was first associated with it. We had tried in 2007, baat nahi bani, I was a middle level person. 10 saal baad, I was foreign secretary, this time it worked. Then we wanted to upgrade, by that time I'd become foreign minister, we raised it to foreign minister, and of course finally it became now at prime minister's level. So when I see the importance of that issue and the difficulty, the challenge of it, I would say all said and done, that's probably what I would pick as my number one. In terms of multilateral, कितने सारे multilateral हैं, streamline करना चाहिए. देखिए, remember this, 10 years ago, we were economically, if you make a list, we were number 11 in the world. Okay? Today we are 5, हम कह रहे हैं अगले 2 साल में we will be 3. A country of our size will get more and more involved with things. You would be surprised how much we have Indian businesses in corner of South America, in Pacific, near New Zealand, so there is no part of the world today which India, and no issue with which India is not involved. So the day when we said nahi ye hamara issue nahi hai, ya ye bahut dur hai, that era is now over, which you people will experience. So for me, in fact, the more we do, the better we are. इसको I agree with you, इसको मैनेज करना होगा, इसका तरीका ढूंढना होगा, इसके लिए procedures बनाने होंगे, but we should not lack ambition. This next Amrit Kal is a period of ambition for India. That is how when we say, we are saying हम कम से कम number 2 तो बनेंगे ना, हो सकता है आगे भी जाए. But that, if you don't have ambition, we will never make that issue. The the Bangladesh infiltrators issue, to a large extent, definitely border is more secure today. Now what had happened before, I think, is a problem with which the country has to grapple with. I'm not sure there are any easy answers for it, but I know that there are places where this is a matter of concern. Then that issue about string of pearls, string of pearls was meant to describe that in the Indian Ocean, there were many Chinese bases which were coming up. At the time when they were coming up, ये 2007-8 की बात है. People said, नहीं, you are exaggerating. ये actually in reality ये नहीं होगा. ये. But we have seen in 15 years from then, actually things have happened. That today there are bases in the Indian Ocean. There are presence of in various forms of China in the Indian Ocean. So I think the early warnings of string of pearls, which was disregarded at that time, that I think was an error of judgment. That we have a challenge here, and I think we have a situation here which we should take very seriously. And last question, जो media की जो बात कर रहे हैं, you named Al-Jazeera, but I will only make one broader point and applicable to other outlets, outfits as well. Because we are becoming bigger, because we are doing better, because our progress in many ways will shape the rest of the world. The rest of the world is also trying to influence it in different ways. They don't have to be governments who are influencing it. Often these are done by media. If you look today, at the kind of comments which are coming out of media, the kind of attempts to shape opinion, to take it in different directions, I think all of these are very much part of an influence game that is going on. I think we should be aware of it. Globalized dunya mein, we should accept that these are realities, and we should prepare ourselves for it. And जैसे मैंने कहा, जहाँ जवाब देना है हम जरूर जवाब देते हैं, जहाँ इसको इग्नोर करना है या कहीं find ways of dealing with it, that also we will do. So once again, really thank you all very much, and hand it back.
Powerful words. Now finally the time has arrived for the one we are waiting for and here for. Everyone please hold your breath and welcome our notable guest speaker, a man of diplomacy, a man of Bharat, a man of New India, none other than Dr. Subramaniam JaiShankar sir. Please give a round of big applause for him. Sir.
Principal Professor Dr. Ramaji, Dr. Ojaji, President Nishta, Ashwamek Singh ji, मित्रों, मेरा सबको नमस्कार। आप लोग जानते हैं, normally ministers, politicians speak in many places. I have done so. But I think this was the most powerful introduction I've ever had. So I have today to try and live up to it. Now, before I speak to you about Viksit Bharat, I want to say a few words because the person standing before you is a student of Delhi University. Multiple generations. My mother was also a student of Delhi University, wo Indraprastha College ke alumnus. And I know, having studied in Delhi University, I know the importance, the significance of Hansraj College. In fact, all of us know that post-independence, this college, the establishment of this college had a particular significance. And in fact, I asked the principal, which is the biggest college in Delhi University. I just wanted to make sure that it was still your college. I was also a civil service aspirant, a successful aspirant. But I want to say, because I remember the times when we were preparing for the exam. And I can feel and still empathize, sympathize with the tensions and the concerns and the worries of people who are preparing for it. And I think some of you who have passed the exam recently know what I'm talking about. So even those who have successfully cleared, they should never forget what that period of preparation is, and they should make different efforts to be helpful. So when I had an opportunity, today to, when I got this invitation to join people who are also focused on civil service aspirations, I felt a great desire to actually meet all of you and talk to you. Now, having said that, we all know these are very exciting times. There is a lot of excitable people who are having big debates in the country right now. And the issue right now, all our minds are looking at is about our future. Now, people normally think of future माने अगले महीने, अगले साल, 5 साल, 10 साल हो सकता है. I want today to talk to you about the next 25 years. The next 25 years, which is your future, which we know as our Amrit Kal, which will be the journey, our yatra to Viksit Bharat will be in these 25 years, and you are the people who are going to make that journey. Now, in recent times, there has been a lot of talk about Viksit Bharat, and I want to tell you very frankly, please don't think it is a slogan. It is not something which is said to प्रोत्साहित करने के लिए नहीं है. It is something very serious we are talking about. And the reason why today we speak about Viksit Bharat with great confidence is in the last 10 years, we have actually created a foundation from which this country and your generation will actually move towards Viksit Bharat. I can tell you, as someone who watches the world, who deals with the world, and who has seen other countries. I've lived in other countries, you know, I've lived in America, Japan, Russia, China. I can feel today that we are actually at the point of something very big. And that, you know, that sense that how do we achieve, how do we prepare for this journey of 25 years, that is really what all of you should focus on. Now, I also want to tell you that हमारी आपस में debates होती रहेंगी. That is natural. It is nature of democracy also. There will be choices. But right now, the world is also watching us. The world is looking to see how is this country, with this foundation of 10 years, how are they going to really accelerate and make this journey of 25 years. And I see this 25 years as a period of new opportunities, as a period of new technologies, but also, I must tell you, a period of new challenges. It will actually be a very different era. That what we today read about, these will become realities in the next few years. That artificial intelligence, in maximum 5 years, will change the way our lives are. That, you know, I cannot even imagine what it would do, for example, to civil service preparation. That artificial intelligence, chips, the way electric vehicles, we are today actually talking of self-driven cars. We are looking at drones. Drones have become a reality. It used to be like something in a movie some years ago. Space, that what will be possible with the help of space. Not only space, actually when we talk of resource, deep seabed mining, that we think of resources being on land. But there will be resources which today we only are guessing that they are there. But these will be accessible to us. And we will see, you know, green, clean technology. So in many ways, you know, world has always changed. But this time, this era, what you are all going to experience is change of a kind that we have never seen. And that is something that we need to prepare for. Now, I have given you the variable factors, but I also want to give you some numbers so that you understand how big this change will be. Today, we are a little bit less than $4 trillion economy. Okay. We expect in next few years to cross 5 trillion. When we do that, we will become the world's third largest economy. But, by the time we reach, by the time we reach Amrit Kal, we are confident of minimum being a 30 trillion economy. And in fact, there is a Goldman Sachs study to say that by the time you will all be younger than me, and we will be second, possibly, who knows, usually Indians are never happy being second. But we will definitely be the second largest economy. That we would be in excess, according to Goldman Sachs, of excess of $52.5 trillion economy. So, if you just look at the numbers, look at the scale of change, look at the kind of things. I mean, this ChatGPT that you have all seen, this is the first smallest trailer you are seeing. The first computer I ever used was 286. I laugh at it today. One day you will be laughing at ChatGPT. That will be the kind of pace of change that all of you are going to see. Now, I told you that the world is watching us today. The world is watching us saying, okay, how is this country? This country, for long, which people underestimated, which had its own problems, which had a very difficult period during colonial rule, but now has come back. How will this country today rise? How will it impact the world? And it cannot be done only by promises and slogans and saying, Hamara potential hai, one day we will do this. In real life, people look at performance. Even in college, after all your teachers think every one of you has fantastic potential. But what do they judge you by? They judge you by your performance. So let us look from the eyes of the world. Suppose you are now having an assessment of India. What is it in the last few years which has impressed the world? I would say today, probably for the world, the most important thing is that we are today the fastest growing large economy of the world, that we are growing at 7%, that 10 years ago we were seen as a fragile 5 economy, pata nahi in logon ko kya ho jayega, kahin ludak jayenge. But today we are actually a cause of hope, and we are seen actually among the top 5 economies, as I said, likely to be the third. This the world, because see, the world is very objective. The world judges things very, very much by very objective criteria. They may like you, but if you do not perform well, they may like you, but they may not respect you. Today, if we are to be respected, and we are respected, I would say one of the main reasons for it today is our economic performance. And not just what it has done. The world knows that what we are now seeing is not for next term or next few years. We have at least 30 to 40 years of very solid growth. Through your entire lifetime, we will be growing. Your generation is going to see through your entire lives a degree of continuous growth which no Indian has seen for 300, 400 years. So please understand, what is the positioning today of the economy. The second, and this is again, like human beings. If somebody has been through a very difficult period, you want to see, अच्छा वो एक किस्म से stress test हो जाता है. How did they go through that test? And the biggest stress test the world has gone through is COVID. COVID is known as a once-in-century challenge, because last time something like this happened was 100 years ago, something called Spanish flu. Now, people looked at how India did during COVID. We were among the countries initially in the beginning of 2020, the world, and this is not a speculation. I have myself experienced it firsthand. In 2020, when world leaders first met, एक virtual meeting थी G20 के नेताओं की. And the main, they discussed कि COVID को रोकना मुश्किल है, it will come, we can't stop it, it's going to be tremendous losses. And the general sense of the meeting was, if there is one country which will not have the ability to deal with COVID, that is India. That is where it began. January 2020. I myself heard it, sitting behind Modi ji. Now, where we began and what we saw in the next 2 years, the same country they worried about, that this country cannot cope. And the reasons for worry was genuine. Because if you looked at our health situation, health preparation, you looked at our manufacturing, you looked at our economy, there was good reason for them to worry about. But that same country produced the mask, it produced the PPE, it produced the ventilator, it produced the medicine, it produced finally the vaccine. And that country with which the world worried about ended up supplying 100 countries with their vaccines. Now, let me tell you, COVID has passed. माने इतना बुरा समय था, all of us like to forget it. Okay, but there are people still, I go around the world, completely unknown people, they will hold your hand, they will come and thank you, they will say, if it was not for India, we would have never got vaccine. So, they look at our performance, but they also saw what the global impact was. The third factor, which is very much in the mind of the world today, is actually digital. That, they look, okay, everybody in the world is digital today. Okay, probably there are more phones than there are human beings in the world. And we all know our day begins and ends with the phone. So, but in digital, they look at how we have used digital. They could see it during COVID also, that we were one of the few countries which gave digital certificate. बाकी लोग जो हैं वो कागजी दे रहे थे. Even developed countries, even America was initially giving you a पर्ची. We were having it on the phone. और वो यकीन नहीं करते थे when they saw your phone. They wanted to see your पर्ची because they had not got used to somebody actually moving it to the digital level. But today, if you look at the range, how digitized India has become. I mean, I don't know among all of you, how many of you today anymore use cash? How many of you today use your phone-based cashless payments? Now, आप लोगों को normal लगता है, दुनिया को नहीं लगता. And to understand this, हम लोग जो हैं in India, we do 10, 11, 12 billion cashless transactions per month. America does 4 billion in a year. Please see the difference. Even China does, I think, maximum 20 billion in a year. So when it comes to payments, when it comes to delivery of services, people today get their income tax faster, they get their housing allotments, they get driving licenses. हमारे department, we give passports so much faster. Why? Because we are actually doing digitally based governance. So and most of all, what digital has done, digital actually has cut down corruption at the service level. Because it is digitally recorded कि मैंने application कब दिया, कितने दिन आपके पास थे, आपके ऑफिस से कहाँ गया. So the moment you start tracking, the moment you actually you get accountability with it. With the transparency, other honesty also comes. So this image has come today of India as a very digital city. Now you can say, अच्छा, that is a very technology-centric image, but आपकी तो पुरानी problem थी, उसका क्या हुआ? Now it's very interesting. in the last 10 years, if you see, 250 million people have actually come out of the poverty level. 200, it is the biggest poverty reduction that actually any country has done in this period. So if you look today, actually even at the traditional problems, जो दुनिया के मन में है that they think of India, अच्छा वहाँ बिजली नहीं है, सड़क नहीं है, गरीब लोग हैं, घर नहीं है. Today those problems are also getting done. And then they look at the infrastructure. The same people who came to Delhi, अब आते हैं पहले एयरपोर्ट की तारीफ करते हैं. Then they say, अच्छा, your highways have improved, your traffic has improved. They look at the facilities really today across the country. There is great scope for improvement. I'm not saying we are happy. I'm not saying our work is done. In fact, I say through your lifetime you will keep improving it. But they look at our infrastructure. They see today that this is a country which is building almost 30 kilometers of national highway every day. That this is a country, there are other countries where after you actually board airport in Delhi, if any of you go abroad, one thing I will guarantee you, in most countries you will be disappointed at the airport which you get down. Because you will ask yourself, अरे ये तो बहुत पुराने किस्म का airport है, it reminds me of Delhi 20 years ago. So if you look actually today at the change, the growth of infrastructure, the modernization of infrastructure, the road, the rail, as I said, the air traffic, the facilities of various kinds. And then I think there is this sense that this is today a different India because of Make in India. That Make in India is actually is a way by which India is now producing its own products. And I think that also makes a very big difference. And finally, this is very much in the image of in the mind of the world. It is very much a sense that this is an India which is actually a technology leader. The most impressive, if there is one thing you ask people in the world, India ke saath kuch, what is the first thought which comes to you? Today most people in the world will say moon landing. That the impact which Chandrayaan 3 made on the thinking of the world, that was tremendous. And when we actually tell them the budget of Chandrayaan 3, that what people are fond of saying, that Chandrayaan 3 went to the moon at less than the cost it takes to make a movie. So if you look, these kinds of things, that even your phone, we imported our 2G, 3G, 4G technology. Those of you who have 5G technology on your phone, please realize it's the first time you actually have an India stack on your phone. Now, when you tell people, because remember, in the world today, 5G technology is made in China, it is made in Korea, and it's made in Europe. So people have this sense today that, okay, India has reached that level of technology, that they are capable of this. So I want to sum it up by saying, in the perception of the world, India is dealing with the old problems, the traditional problems, but India is getting ready today. It is prepared today to be at the forefront of the new ones. Now, so far, what I have told you is like the material aspect. Okay, मैं road की बात कर रहा हूँ, airport की बात कर रहा हूँ, technology की बात कर रहा हूँ. But the world is full of human beings. So they also say, what kind of people are they? Because when we speak about Viksit Bharat, the world will watch what is our behavior, what is the outlook of these people. I think today, probably more than ever before, at least in living memory, the talent of India is actually today getting tremendous recognition. I just saw today in one of the newspapers, I was coming to the university, and I saw that there was a big article that there were now more Indian students in Germany than there were Chinese students. Now, why this was interesting was, in Germany, they go outside the country and search, they recruit students and bring them to Jammu. Now, in the past, they used to focus on China. Today, they are actually focusing on Indian students, which is why the numbers have gone up. Now, when I look back on foreign policy, I am finding, through Australia, Austria, Italy, Japan, Portugal, France, the number of countries who want actually Indian talent, Indian skills to come to these countries. I'm leaving America out, unka to purana hai, wo saalon se chal raha hai. So this is one. But along with this, they also admire something else that we do. Because for many countries, people go out. It's natural, globalized dunya hai, passport hai logon ke haath mein, airlines hai. But we are one of the few countries which say, if you are an Indian citizen, wherever you are, whatever situation you are in, we are there for you. And I can tell you, very, very few countries do this. A lot of you are very familiar with what happened during Operation Ganga in Ukraine. Perhaps not many of you know that many countries in the world told their people, bhai, you are in Ukraine, there's a war, it's your problem. हमने आपको कहा था, please get out, आप नहीं निकले, there is nothing we can do for you. Even developed countries, many of them, left their citizens, their students, their young people behind in Ukraine. Contrast that with us today. It happened in Ukraine, it happened last year in Israel, uske pehle Sudan, where we find our people in a problem. And this is very important because our people going out have the security. And, it could be anybody, it could even be tourists. When COVID happened, when COVID came and we did lockdown, lakhs of people were left outside the country. Again, many countries said, your problem. We actually ran flights to bring them back. And we did it on a scale which no other country has done. So our talent is going out, but side by side we are getting the reputation these people actually look after their people. And this is very important as we move towards Viksit Bharat, this image of India. And we care for ourselves. But increasingly you will see, you will read some report, Indian team went to Turkey, wahan earthquake hua. Indian team went to Mozambique, wahan floods hua. Indian team went to Sri Lanka or Kuwait. During COVID, we sent our military teams out to help some countries because they didn't have doctors. So we actually sent military doctors out at that period. So this human factor of, one is what is India doing, economy, politics, but other is what are Indians like. And this is also today very much shaping the perception of the world. And in this, our community which lives abroad is making a very big difference because by their success and their achievements, they are actually very much creating the perception. Now, what then is the overall image of India? I would say today, the image of India is friendly, but the image of India is firm. कि जहां जरूरत है तो ये लोग हाथ बढ़ाते हैं, जहां इनको अड़ना है, they will definitely they are capable of that. That is actually today the sense of India. If you look, for example, at a challenge like terrorism, the world recognizes today that today's India deals with terrorism very differently from how it used to. And it's a comparison very simple. People look at Mumbai attack, 26/11. 26/11 के समय में क्या हुआ, अब क्या हो रहा है, उरी बालाकोट के समय में क्या हुआ. That's a comparison they make. Or they look, for example, we have a challenge in our China border. They look to see, okay, these people are standing up, they are sending the troops, they are staying firm. That also the world knows. Or actually they look, one example which all of you are familiar with. We came under pressure on Russian not buying oil from Russia. And people said, they saw an India which said, no, my interest of my people requires that I buy that oil and I'm not hiding it. there were countries wo unhone I'm sorry to say this, cheating करके कहीं से खरीदा होगा. We were very open about it. We were very honest about it. But we were very courageous about it. So this sense today that this is a firm country, but it is also a fair country. That during G20, where most people did not expect that there would be an agreement, उस दिन जिस दिन मीटिंग शुरू हुई किसी की अपेक्षा नहीं थी कि सर्वसम्मति से कम्युनिके बनेगा. And yet we managed it. And not only did we manage it, to the long pending demand कि अफ्रीका को उनकी सदस्यता जो थी, it was pending for many years. Everybody would tell Africa, भाई वो कर देंगे, then say, अच्छा next guy will do it. Now we, from the beginning, were very clear that we will do it. And we will do it, and we promised Africa, we will get it done in our time. So this image of India today, being open to the world, being friendly to the world. So if I were today to say this journey on Viksit Bharat, why is today the Foreign Minister of India putting so much focus on it? For this reason. The journey towards Viksit Bharat will actually bring us much closer to the world. In a globalized world, we will be working outside, more foreign businesses will be here, we will be dealing with more, foreign factors, and in different ways, your lives will change. You will all be traveling more, even as personal travel, as tourists you will be going more. So our connection with the world will grow as we move towards Viksit Bharat. But the world can also be a big help to us. Because if the image of the world is that India is a good country, it's a law-abiding country, यहाँ contract हो तो उसकी कदर करते हैं, उसको मानते हैं. If the sense is these are people easy to work with and they are, it has a government or it has a system which is very much at ease with the world. I think this comfort with the world will actually make us go faster towards Viksit Bharat. So I actually believe that we must have a foreign policy which will prepare the way as we move towards Viksit Bharat, which will prepare for a global workplace. Today, there are almost about little less than 2 crore Indians who live and work abroad. Maybe about 1 crore plus who have taken citizenship of another country. But we will see these numbers grow. So we have to prepare the way for that. But most important, I would say, our economic contribution, our technology contribution, and our talent contribution. Because in many parts of the world, you are going to see big shortages of people. It is not only going to be in IT or in health. In every profession. Actually, world is going to have shortage of lawyers, shortage of accountants, shortage of doctors. There is going to be a big demographic issue in the world. And we are, in this 25 years, we are actually at our peak performance. This is, in many ways, an opportunity. So, let me conclude it with this remark, that today, we are all busy with something very important. It's very understandable. We have also to show the world that democracies deliver, that democratic exercises produce results which are good for growth, which are good for development, which create a country which the rest of the world is very, very comfortable working with. That is why I believe today that the world is not only watching us, I think large parts of the world actually wish us well. That many people, I was with Prime Minister when Chandrayaan landing took place. हम लोग Africa में थे. And the sentiment in the room, there were about 40-50 presidents and prime ministers. Most of them felt, ये landing जरूर आपका होगा, but गर्व जो है, we also feel the same along with it. So, I want to share that sense with you today. There will be some odd people here and there, कोई paper में लिखेगा, कोई यहीं आलोचना करेगा. That is natural. That happens in a world of many opinions. But we Indians today should be proud of what we have achieved, should be ambitious about what we want to do, where we want to do. We should be confident about this journey towards Viksit Bharat that we are embarking on. And that sense, most of all, must come with you, because as I said, that next period, that 25 and the year beyond, that is your era. Our generation's responsibility is to create the foundation. That is the best we have done for you. But I'm very, very confident. I mean, whenever I look at the youth of India, I feel actually that, the country has tremendous possibilities. And I think today for me, it was one more opportunity to reaffirm that sense. Once again, really, thank you very much for inviting me. And it's a pleasure to be here.